You are living a life of profound compromise, and it is a life you chose by default. This is not the life you dreamed of. It is not the life that flashes before your eyes with a sense of pride. It is a life negotiated in moments of weakness. It is a structure built not on bold decisions, but on the accumulated comfort of 1,000 small surrenders. It is the alarm clock you silence, trading the promise of the morning for 10 more minutes of hollow rest. It is the project you will start tomorrow, a tomorrow that never arrives. It is the difficult conversation you avoid, the creative work you stifle, the physical regimen you postpone. It is the gap, glaring and cold, between the person you are and the person you know, deep in your bones, you were meant to be. You feel it. You feel it as a dull, constant ache, a low-grade anxiety, a spiritual friction. It is the exhaustion that comes not from working too hard, but from not doing what you know you must. It is the unique fatigue of the unlived life. You see flashes of the person you could be. You see them in moments of clarity, perhaps late at night, or after a burst of sudden inspiration. That person is focused. They are resilient. They are calm under pressure. They keep the promises they make to themselves. They move with purpose. They do not negotiate with their own impulses. And then, that person vanishes. They are drowned out by the noise of the immediate, the craving for comfort, the ping of a notification, the voice of doubt, the seductive whisper of later. And what remains is you, left with the bitter taste of your own potential rotting on the vine. Let us call this what it is. It is a failure of discipline. And that word, discipline, makes you uncomfortable. It conjures images of restriction, of punishment, of a joyless, rigid existence, a military boot camp, a sterile cage. This is the first lie you must unlearn. The truth is the exact opposite. The life you are living now is the cage. You are imprisoned by your impulses. You are a slave to your moods. You are held captive by the immediate, predictable demands of your own internal resistance. You think choosing comfort is freedom, but in reality, it is the most predictable prison of all. True freedom is not the absence of structure. True freedom is the result of structure. Unbreakable self-discipline is not a cage. It is the key. It is the only key. It is the tool that allows you to cut through the noise. It is the armor that protects your focus from the chaos of the world. It is the bridge, the only bridge, that can carry you from the wasteland of your intentions to the fortress of your accomplishments. This audiobook is that key. But it is not a magic wand. This is not a collection of life hacks, productivity tricks, or hollow platitudes. We will not be visualizing success or manifesting our destiny. That is the language of chance, of hope, of passivity. Discipline is the language of action, of certainty, of building. Over the next several hours, we are not going to find your discipline. We are going to forge it. We are not going to discover your strength. We are going to construct it, piece by piece, system by system, until it is unbreakable. But first, we must dismantle the other lies, the lies you have been fed and the lies you have told yourself that keep you trapped. The second great lie is the myth of motivation. You wait to feel inspired. You wait for the mood to strike. You believe that successful people wake up every single day, bursting with energy, eager to attack their most difficult tasks. This is a fantasy. Motivation is a fair-weather friend. It is an emotion, and like all emotions, it is fleeting. It is unreliable. It is a spark in a rainstorm. You cannot build a life on it. You cannot build a single meaningful accomplishment on it. The people who succeed, the people who build empires, create art, and achieve mastery do not wait for motivation. They generate it, and they generate it through action. They do not act because they are motivated. They become motivated because they act. They understand a core, unbending truth. The work must be done regardless of how you feel. The system is what matters, not the mood. This audiobook will teach you to stop relying on the fickle tides of emotion and, instead, to build a system that functions whether you feel like it or not. You will learn to bypass motivation entirely and operate on the superior, more reliable engine of commitment. The third great lie is the myth of willpower. You believe you fail because you are weak. You think you lack a certain spiritual fortitude, a will that others seem to possess in abundance. When you give in to a craving, or hit the snooze button, or quit a task, you blame your lack of willpower. This is another, more insidious trap. Relying on willpower to achieve your goals is like trying to hold back a flood with your bare hands. It is a finite resource. It is a biological battery that drains throughout the day. Every decision you make, every temptation you resist, every impulse you fight, it costs you. By the end of the day, or even by the afternoon, that battery is empty. And in that moment of weakness, your impulses take over, and you always lose. Why? Because you are fighting the battle on the wrong terms. You are fighting an unwinnable war of attrition. The most disciplined people in the world do not have more willpower than you. They need less of it. They are not masters of resisting temptation. They are masters of avoiding it. They have engineered their lives, their environments, and their systems to such a degree that the right choice is the easiest choice. They don't use willpower to walk through the battlefield. They use their intelligence to design a life where the battle never has to be fought. This is the architecture of discipline, and we will teach you step by step how to design it. You will learn to make discipline the path of least resistance. You will learn to preserve your willpower for the moments that truly matter, instead of wasting it on 1,000 tiny, pointless skirmishes. The final and most dangerous lie is the myth of inherent identity. This is the belief that discipline is a trait, that it is something you are born with, that you are just not a disciplined person. You are a procrastinator. You are lazy. You have accepted this narrative as fact. You have made it your identity. And because it is your identity, you act in accordance with it. You procrastinate because you are a procrastinator. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy. This is the deepest cage of all. Because if you believe this, there is no hope. There is no path to change. There is only acceptance of a lesser life. Today, that lie ends. Discipline is not a trait. It is a skill. Procrastination is not an identity. It is a habit. Laziness is not a state of being. It is a symptom of a broken system, a lack of purpose, or a deep-set fear. No one is a disciplined person. They are a person who has practiced the skill of discipline. They have built the habits of discipline. They have installed the systems of discipline. And anything that can be learned, you can learn. Anything that can be built, you can build. This is the purpose of this audiobook. This is the promise. We will not offer you sympathy for the person you are today. We will instead give you profound respect for the person you are capable of becoming. And we will give you the tools to build them. Our journey together is divided into 3 distinct phases. First, we will conduct the diagnosis. We must understand the enemy. We will hold up a mirror and force you to look, without blinking, at the true cost of your indecision. We will dissect the anatomy of your impulses, the psychological triggers that send you scrambling for comfort. And, most critically, we will build your why. We will forge a purpose so clear, so powerful, and so non-negotiable that it will serve as the bedrock for everything that follows. Second, we will wage the war. This is the phase of change. We will acknowledge the battle between your higher self and your primal self. We will give you the tactics to win that fight. We will dismantle the myth of motivation and build the architecture of your system. We will re-iron your relationship with failure, turning it from a verdict into a data point. And we will build the biological armor, the sleep, the nutrition, the physical power that a high-performance mind requires. Third, we will achieve mastery. This is the final transformation. This is where discipline stops being something you do and becomes something you are. We will forge a new identity, one built on proof, not promises. We will teach you to master the long, hard plateau of consistency, to find joy in the process itself. And finally, you will build what we call the citadel of the will, an internal fortress of such profound strength that no external chaos, no internal doubt can ever breach it again. This will not be easy. This audiobook is not a passive experience. It is not background noise. It is an instruction manual for a complete overhaul of your internal operating system. It will require your full attention. It will demand that you be uncomfortable. It will insist that you take inventory, make hard choices, and do the work. Many people will listen to this. They will nod along, they will find it interesting, and they will change nothing. They will remain exactly where they are, trapped in the comfortable prison of their potential, and they will carry that potential with them to their grave. You must decide right now that you will not be one of them. This is your moment of decision. The gap in your life, the one you feel every single day, can be closed. The person you were meant to be is not lost. They are merely waiting. They are waiting for you to build the bridge that will finally let them cross over. That bridge is unbreakable self-discipline. The work is hard. The path is clear. The reward is everything. Let us begin. Are you proud of the person you are right now? It is a jarring question. It is not a question you are supposed to ask, and certainly not one you are expected to answer honestly. We are taught to deflect such inquiries with humility, or to reframe them in the context of our external achievements, our jobs, our possessions, our relationships. We point to the things we have accumulated as proof of a life well lived. But we are not talking about your possessions. We are not talking about your job title or your social media profile or the approval of your peers. We are talking about you, the person who exists behind the eyes, the one who lives every second of every day with the consequences of your own choices. When you are alone, in the quiet, in the moments before sleep, or the first jarring seconds of consciousness, are you proud of that person? Do you respect the way they move through the world? Do you admire their integrity, their resilience, their refusal to compromise on the values they claim to hold? For most, the answer is a silent, uncomfortable no. If this is you, know that you are not alone. You are, in fact, in the vast majority. You are living in a state that we will call the Great Dissonance. It is the gap, the canyon, between the person you claim to be and the person your actions prove you are. This is Chapter 1, The Mirror of Resistance. Its purpose is not to make you feel good. Its purpose is not to inspire you with empty affirmations. Its purpose is to serve as a diagnosis. We are here to hold up a mirror, to force you, perhaps for the first time, to look, truly look at the unedited, unoutfiltered reflection of your current state. And the resistance you feel, that tightening in your chest, that urge to turn this off, to distract yourself, to check your email, to do anything other than face this moment. That is the enemy. That resistance is the symptom. The disease is your indiscipline. You have convinced yourself that your comfort is a virtue. You have mistaken your avoidance of difficulty for a form of freedom. You believe that going with the flow and living in the moment are enlightened states of being, when in reality they are merely convenient excuses for your absolute surrender to impulse. You have, in effect, become a willing prisoner of your own weakness. Let us be clear. This is not about morality. This is not about being a good or bad person. This is about physics. This is about cause and effect. This is about the architecture of a human life. You say you want to be exceptional. You say you want to build something. You say you want to be fit, or financially free, or intellectually sharp. But your actions tell a different story. Your actions say you want comfort. Your actions say you want the path of least resistance. Your actions say you want the cheap, immediate dopamine of distraction over the deep, earned satisfaction of accomplishment. And so, you live in the dissonance. You live in the profound spiritual friction of a life out of alignment. Now, let us examine the cost. This is the central illusion that allows your indiscipline to thrive. You believe that discipline is costly and indiscipline is free. You believe that discipline costs you pleasure. It costs you spontaneity. It costs you relaxation. This is the greatest inversion. This is the lie your resistance tells you to keep you compliant. The truth is that indiscipline is the single most expensive habit you have. It costs you everything. It is a tax on your potential. It is a debt that compounds in the dark, and you are paying for it with the only currency you can never ever get back. You are paying for it with your life. Let us audit the books. Let us calculate the true price of your comfort. First, indiscipline costs you your time. You see time as an infinite resource. You waste it as if you are drawing from an ocean. You kill time. You spend it. You let hours, evenings, and entire weekends evaporate into a digital fog, into meaningless entertainment, into a gray haze of getting by. You are waiting. You are always waiting. For tomorrow, for next week, for the right moment, for inspiration to strike. And while you wait, the clock ticks. The disciplined person understands a truth that you have yet to internalize. Time is not a liquid, it is a solid. It is a finite number of blocks, and every single block you waste on procrastination, on hesitation, on comfort, is a block you cannot use to build your cathedral. It is gone, forever. Think of the hours you have lost this year alone. The hours spent staring at a screen, consuming content you will not remember tomorrow, in a passive state of cognitive surrender. Now imagine if those hours had been invested in a book, in a skill, in your body, in your work. Who would you be? What could you have built? The mirror is unflinching. Your indiscipline has cost you years, and you have paid that price voluntarily in exchange for nothing. Second, indiscipline costs you your energy. This is the great paradox. You avoid the difficult task because you say you don't have the energy. You procrastinate on the workout, the project, the conversation because you feel drained. You have it backwards. The fatigue you feel is not the result of too much work. It is the symptom of too much avoidance. It is the psychic weight of the undone. It is the exhaustion that comes from dragging your potential behind you, day after day. It is the heavy, low-grade lethargy of a mind that knows it is in default. Action creates energy. Accomplishment generates momentum. The hard work, the very thing you are avoiding, is the only thing that can cure the fatigue you are feeling. Your comfort is not rest. It is stagnation. And stagnation breeds decay. The energy you are trying to save by being indisciplined is not being saved. It is turning toxic. It is becoming resentment, anxiety, and a profound, bone-deep sense of weariness. The most debilitating exhaustion in the world is not the exhaustion of effort. It is the exhaustion of regret. Third, and most catastrophic, indiscipline costs you your self-respect. This is the cost that destroys you from the inside out. Every time you set a goal and abandon it, every time you make a promise to yourself and break it, every time you choose the easy wrong over the hard right, you are casting a vote. You are casting a vote for the person you are over the person you want to be. But it is more insidious than that. You are teaching yourself in real time that your words are meaningless. You are training your own brain to understand that your commitments are hollow, that your resolve is a joke, that you cannot be trusted. This is the origin of your self-doubt. This is the root of your anxiety. You are anxious not because the world is chaotic, but because your internal world is chaotic. You have no foundation. You have no solid ground. You are standing on the quicksand of 1,000 broken promises. Think of your self-trust as a bank account. Let's call it the integrity account. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how small, waking up on time, finishing the report, not hitting the snooze button, you make a deposit. A small one, but it's there. Every time you break a promise, I'll start my diet Monday. I'll make that call. I'll work out today. You make a massive withdrawal. And for years, you have been making withdrawals. You have been running a deficit. Today, your account is empty. You are spiritually bankrupt. And that is why you cannot start. That is why you feel so stuck. You do not believe yourself anymore. When you say, "This time I'll do it," a voice in the back of your head laughs because it has heard this lie before. How can you expect to win a war against the world when you cannot even win the war inside your own mind? How can you demand respect from others when you have demonstrated again and again that you are not worthy of your own? This is the reflection in the mirror. A person who wastes time, a person who leaks energy, a person who does not trust themselves. This is the diagnosis. This is the true cost of your comfort. Now, what do we do with this? The temptation is to feel shame. The urge is to feel guilt, to be overwhelmed by the scale of the debt. Shame is a useless emotion. It is the cousin of comfort. It is passive. It is paralyzing. Shame looks at this reflection and says, "See, you are worthless. You are broken. You might as well give up." We reject shame. Shame is the enemy's territory. We are not aiming for shame. We are aiming for dissatisfaction. We are aiming for a clean, cold, powerful dissatisfaction, a righteous anger, a profound, non-negotiable intolerance for the status quo. You must look at this reflection in the mirror and, instead of turning away in shame, you must look at it with a new, burning clarity. You must look at the wasted potential, the broken trust, the surrendered ambitions, and you must finally say, "Enough." You must decide that the pain of remaining the same is finally, mercifully, greater than the perceived pain of changing. This is the ignition point. This is the only true starting line. You do not need hope. You do not need motivation. You do not need anyone's permission. You need a verdict. You must sentence your old life. You must sentence your old self to death. The part of you that chooses comfort, the part that breaks promises, the part that surrenders to resistance, that part of you must be identified, isolated, and starved of its power. This audiobook is the blueprint for that process. But nothing can happen, nothing can be built until you complete this first step. You must, with full intention, acknowledge the high cost of your indiscipline. You must accept the diagnosis. You must stand before the mirror of resistance until the reflection becomes so intolerable that you have no choice but to act. The life you are living is a compromise. The person you are being is a negotiation. The comfort you have chosen is a cage. And for the first time, you are seeing the bars. This is the necessary crisis. This is the dark night of the soul that precedes all transformation. Do not run from it. Do not numb it. Do not distract yourself from it. Stay with it. Let this profound dissatisfaction be the fuel. Let this confrontation with the truth be the foundation. The person you could be, the one you see in your best moments, is not a fantasy. They are a blueprint. They are the person who emerges when the resistance is finally met with a superior force. That force is not willpower. It is not motivation. It is a decision made in this moment that the price you have been paying is no longer acceptable. A decision that you will no longer indiscriminately hemorrhage your time, your energy, and your self-respect in exchange for the cheap, hollow drug of comfort. The mirror has shown you the truth. Your potential is being wasted. Your trust in yourself is broken. Your life is not your own. The question is no longer, what will I gain by becoming disciplined? The question is, what will I stop losing? Why do you fail? You know what you must do. You have the plan. You have the goal. The path is clear. You have made the decision, perhaps 1,000 times. This is the day. And yet, the day ends. The goal is untouched. The plan is in ruins. The hand, as if with a mind of its own, reaches for the phone. The feet, as if guided by an invisible force, walk to the refrigerator. The voice, your own voice, whispers tomorrow, and you obey it as if it were a command from a god. You know what to do, but you do not do it. Why? Why does the intelligent, ambitious, capable person, the person you know you are, consistently lose to the immediate, base, and short-sighted creature that seems to hijack your body? To build unbreakable self-discipline, you cannot simply fight this enemy. You must understand it. You must know its name, its motives, and its tactics. This is Chapter 2, The Anatomy of Impulse. We are here to dissect the machine of your failure, because it is a machine. It is not a mystery. It is not weakness. It is not a moral failing. It is a system, a predictable, ancient, and devastatingly effective system. And today, you will finally see how it works. The enemy you are fighting is not one thing. It is a two-headed beast. The first head is the primal engine. The second head is the narrative of comfort. One is the drive, the other is the justification. Together, they form an ironclad loop that has kept you trapped for years. Let's start with the engine. Inside your skull, you are running two operating systems at the same time. The first is the modern logical mind. This is the part of you reading this. It's your prefrontal cortex. It is slow, deliberate, and logical. It can understand consequences. It can set long-term goals. It can comprehend the value of building a business, or getting a degree, or mastering a skill. This is the you that bought this audiobook. But there is another, older system, a much, much older system. This is the primal engine. It is your limbic system. It is the ancient, reptilian part of your brain that kept your ancestors alive for millions of years. And this primal engine is not logical. It is not slow. It is fast, it is powerful, and it is instinctive. It does not care about your 5-year plan. It does not care about your retirement savings. It does not care about your summer body, or your novel, or your desire to learn a new language. The primal engine has only 3 commands, 3 non-negotiable directives that have been hard-coded into your DNA. 1. Seek pleasure. 2. Avoid pain. 3. Conserve energy. That's it. That is the entire program. It is the triumvirate of instinct. In the world where this engine was built, a world of scarcity, predators, and constant threat, this program was a masterpiece of survival. Seek pleasure? Yes. Eat the high-sugar fruit now because it might not be there tomorrow. The pleasure signal, dopamine, is a command to get. Avoid pain? Yes. That rustle in the bushes is a lion until proven otherwise. Fear is a command to run. Conserve energy? Yes. Do not move unless you have to. Rest, because you will need that energy to hunt or to flee. Laziness is a survival strategy. This is the engine that is still running your life. Now look at the world you live in. A world of abundance, a world of safety, a world of ease. This ancient engine is now obsolete, but it is still in the driver's seat. Let's look at its first command. Seek pleasure. In the modern world, this has been hijacked. The pleasure we seek is dopamine. But dopamine is not the happiness molecule. It is the anticipation molecule. It is not the reward, it is the promise of a reward. It is the fuel for seeking. Your primal engine is a dopamine addict, and your world is a supermarket of cheap, high-dose hits. Your phone is not a phone. It is an infinite scroll dopamine dispenser. Every notification, every like, every new video is a promise of a tiny, immediate reward. Junk food is not food. It is a chemically engineered delivery system for the promise of satiety and pleasure. Streaming services, video games, social media, they are all super stimuli. They are offering your primal engine a reward that is 1,000 times faster, cheaper, and more reliable than the reward of actual work. Your long-term goal, your business, your fitness, offers a reward that is delayed, uncertain, and requires massive effort. Your primal engine looks at the two options. Option A, work for 3 hours on a difficult project for a potential reward next year. Option B, scroll on a screen for certain, immediate rewards right now. To the primal engine, this is not a choice. It is an insult. Option A is stupid. It violates all 3 directives. It is not pleasurable, it is painful, mental strain, and it consumes massive energy. Option B is genius. It is all pleasure, no pain, and requires 0 energy. The primal engine screams for option B, and it almost always wins. That is the feeling of impulse. It is the roar of your ancient hardware demanding that you stop doing the stupid thing and start doing the smart thing. But the engine, as powerful as it is not enough to make you fail. It is a drive, a feeling, an urge. For the failure to be complete, the modern, logical mind must surrender. It must be convinced. And for that, we need the second head of the beast. This is the narrative of comfort. This is the voice you hear. This is the sophisticated lawyer that your primal engine keeps on retainer 24/7 to justify its every impulse. It is the story you tell yourself, using your modern, logical mind to rationalize your primal, illogical behavior. Your primal engine screams, "I am tired. This is hard. Seek comfort." But you are a modern human. You can't just do that. You have to justify it. And so, the narrative of comfort begins its closing argument. You know, it whispers, you've had a really hard day. You deserve a break. What's the point of working so hard if you can't even relax? Just 5 minutes. Just 1 episode. You need to recharge. This is the lie of entitlement. It reframes self-destruction as self-care. Or it tries another tactic. This project is just too big. I'm not even sure where to start. It's overwhelming. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll be fresh tomorrow. I'll wake up early and really get it done. This is the lie of postponement. It sells you the fantasy of a future self, a mythical creature who has infinite energy, motivation, and discipline. A person who, mysteriously, you never seem to be today. Or, my favorite, I already slipped up. I already ate the cookie. The day is ruined. I've blown my diet. I might as well just eat the whole box and start over on Monday. This is the lie of the all or nothing. It's a binary trap. It insists that if you are not perfect, you are a failure, and therefore, all effort is pointless. It is a brilliant, brilliant piece of psychological sabotage. And there are more. It's just this one time. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. I'm just not a person who can do this. This is the sound of your own intelligence being weaponized against you. You are rationalizing, not reasoning. Reasoning is the act of looking at a situation and finding the true path forward. Rationalizing is the act of starting with the answer you want, comfort, and building a logical-sounding case for why it's the right one. You are not failing because you are weak. You are failing because you are smart. You are smart enough to build a complex, bulletproof, and utterly false narrative that gives you permission to surrender. So, let's put it all together. Let's watch the impulse loop in action. Step 1. The cue. It's an external or internal trigger. You're sitting at your desk. You hit a difficult part of your work. You feel a microsecond of boredom or anxiety. This is the pain that the primal engine wants to avoid. Step 2. The urge. The primal engine roars. It screams, pain, avoid, conserve energy, seek pleasure, now. It floods your system with the craving for a dopamine hit. It wants the phone. It wants the sugar. It wants the distraction. This is the impulse. Step 3. The justification. The narrative of comfort immediately activates. The internal lawyer steps up. This is boring. You can't focus like this. You just need a quick 5-minute break to clear your head. It will actually make you more productive. Step 4. The action. Your logical mind, presented with this brilliant case, agrees. It surrenders. The hand reaches for the phone. You open the app. You check the feed. Step 5. The reward. You get it. A tiny, tiny spike of dopamine. A little picture. A funny video. A news alert. It is a promise of connection or entertainment or information. The primal engine says, see, I told you, that was better. That was easy. The loop is complete. And more importantly, the loop is reinforced. You have just taught your brain at a neurological level that when I feel bored, the solution is the phone. You have strengthened the pathway. You have made the impulse stronger for next time. This is why indiscipline feels like a downward spiral, because it is. You are, quite literally, training yourself to be weak. Every time you complete this loop, you carve the groove in your brain a little deeper. So, what do? This chapter is about anatomy. It is not about the cure. The strategies, the systems, the war. That comes later. But the first step in dismantling a machine is to see it. You cannot stop the primal engine. You cannot silence the narrative of comfort. They will always be there. They are part of your programming. But you can change your relationship to them. You can learn to observe them. Starting today, your one and only job is not to defeat the impulse. It is to notice it. When the urge strikes, the urge to procrastinate, to eat, to quit, you will not fight it. You will not obey it. You will, for the first time, simply watch it. You will create a single, powerful moment of separation, a space. We will call it the pause. In that pause between the feeling and the action, you will become a scientist in your own laboratory. You will look at the urge and you will name it. Ah, there it is, the primal engine. It is feeling boredom. It is screaming for a dopamine hit. And then you will listen for the lawyer. And there is the narrative. It is telling me I deserve a break. It is telling me I will be more productive later. Interesting. You will not judge. You will not act. You will simply observe. For the first time in your life, you are no longer the slave to the machine. You are the ghost in the machine. You are the awareness that is watching the program run. The impulse is not you. It is an echo from a world that no longer exists. The narrative is not truth. It is a story, a very clever and seductive lie. You are not your impulses. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who hears them. And in that moment of separation, in that brief, sacred pause, everything becomes possible. You have now seen the enemy. You have seen the internal wiring of your own surrender. You are no longer fighting in the dark. The lights are on. And the war is about to begin. Why? Why do you want this? Why are you really listening to this? If I were to ask you, why do you want self-discipline? What would you say? I want to be better. I want to be successful. I want to get in shape. I want to be more productive. These are your reasons, and they are the precise reason you will fail. They are not reasons. They are wishes. They are vague, hollow, and lifeless. They are paper shields in a firefight. They are the dreams of a passive mind. They have no weight. They have no gravity. And in the moment of conflict, In the second that your primal engine from our last chapter roars for comfort, these hollow wishes evaporate. I want to be better is a meaningless fog. I want to be successful is a borrowed dream from a world you do not understand. I want to get in shape is a preference, not a command. And your primal engine hates preferences. It only deals in commands. It only respects power. For the past 2 chapters, we have diagnosed the problem. We have stared into the mirror of resistance and accepted the high cost of our indiscipline. We have dissected the anatomy of impulse and seen the ancient, powerful machine that guarantees our failure. We have defined the enemy. Now we must define the motive. We must define what we are fighting for. This is Chapter 3, The Architecture of Purpose. The most profound mistake you have made is this. You believe you have a discipline problem. You do not. You have a purpose problem. You are trying to wage a war without a why. You are asking your internal armies to march into the most difficult, grueling battles of their lives, just because. And they are, rightly, rebelling. Discipline without purpose is punishment. It is a joyless, sterile, and brittle existence. It is a prison you are building for yourself, and you will, correctly, find a way to escape it. But discipline in service of a clear, powerful, and non-negotiable purpose, that is not a prison. That is a cathedral. It is the highest expression of human potential. It is the framework that allows you to build something that will outlast you. What you are lacking is not willpower. What you are lacking is leverage. You have nothing to put on the other side of the scale. When the impulse for immediate comfort weighs in, and it is a 10-ton weight, you have nothing to counter it with. Your vague wish to be better is a feather. It is meaningless. Your why must be heavier than your why not. Your why must be louder than the narrative of comfort. Your why must be more compelling than the primal engine's demand for pleasure. If your why is weak, your how is irrelevant. You will always fail. So we must stop. Before we learn a single how-to, before we discuss a single tactic or system, we must stop and build the one thing that makes all the other work possible. We must build your why. And we will not find it. We will not discover it. We are not hoping to stumble upon it. We are going to architect it. We are going to build it from the bedrock up with deliberate, conscious, intelligent design. An architecture requires a blueprint. This is that blueprint. It has 3 parts: the foundation, the pillars, and the keystone. Let us begin with the foundation of a version. This is the first and most counterintuitive step. You do not start by defining the heaven you are moving toward. You start by defining the hell you are running from. You must, with brutal honesty, define the anti-vision for your life. Your primal engine is wired to avoid pain. We will use this, we will weaponize it. But we will not use the perceived pain of doing the work. We will use the real, catastrophic pain of not doing it. I want you to take a moment, not now, but soon, and I want you to write. I want you to describe in unflinching detail the person you will become in 10 years if you do not change. What does that person's life look like? What does their health look like after 10 more years of neglect? What does their bank account look like after 10 more years of impulse spending and zero growth? What do their relationships look like after 10 more years of passive participation and broken trust? What does their mind look like after 10 more years of cheap consumption and zero creation? And most importantly, how does that person feel? What is the feeling they have in the pit of their stomach when they wake up on a Tuesday morning? What is the feeling they have when they look in the mirror? What is the regret that haunts them in the quiet moments? This is not an exercise in shame. This is an exercise in leverage. This is the future of your default. This is the path of least resistance. This is the hell that is actually waiting for you if you continue to choose comfort. You must make this real. You must make this visceral. You must make this painful. This is your anti-vision. This is the push. This is the foundation. It is the solid ground of no, never, not that. When your impulse tells you it's just one day off, this foundation will rise up and say, this is how it starts. This is the first step back to that hell, and we are not going back. This is the pain you will use to fight the perceived pain of effort. Now that the foundation is set, we build the pillars of identity. Your why cannot be an outcome. It cannot be a thing. It cannot be a number on a scale or a number in a bank account. Why? Because those things are external. They are finish lines. And the second you cross them, if you ever do, the why is gone, and you collapse. A true purpose is not a what, it is a who. It is not something you get, it is something you become. Your why must be an identity. You have been operating under a faulty premise. You have been saying, I will do the things, and then I will have the rewards, and then I will be the person. I will do the diet to have the body to be a healthy person. I will do the writing to have the book to be an author. This is backwards. It will always fail. The doing is too hard. You must flip the script. You must start with the who. You must decide the identity you wish to embody, and then your only job is to act in alignment with that identity. So let's redefine your weak wishes. Your goal is not to get in shape. Your new identity is, I am a person who is strong, energetic, and respects my body. I am an athlete. Now the question is, do I feel motivated to work out? The question is, what does an athlete do today? An athlete trains. An athlete eats. An athlete sleeps. The choice becomes simple. The action is merely proof of the identity. Your goal is not to be more productive. Your new identity is, I am a professional. I am a creator. I am a person who finishes what they start. My word is my bond. The question is no longer, do I feel like working on this project? The question is, what does a professional do? A professional sits down. They do the work. They do not negotiate with their feelings. They serve the mission. This is the great reframe. You are not chasing a result. You are living an identity. Discipline is no longer a chore. It is the natural byproduct of your chosen identity. It is simply the act of being who you have decided to be. Your pillars are these identity statements. I am a professional. I am an athlete. I am a person of integrity. I am a lifelong learner. They are the who you are serving. They are the non-negotiable expressions of your highest self. They are the pull. Finally, we must lock it all in place with the keystone. The foundation is the push from the hell you are avoiding. The pillars are the identity you are living today. The keystone is the macro vision. It is the cathedral you are building. It is the specific, compelling, high-definition future you are moving toward. This is where your vague wishes finally get a concrete form, but they must be yours. The anti-vision was about pain. The keystone is about joy, but not the cheap joy of impulse, the deep, resonant, earned joy of fulfillment. What specifically does this life look like? Where are you? Who are you with? What are you doing with your days? What impact are you having? What does it feel like to wake up in that life? A life where you are not at war with yourself. A life where your external reality is a direct reflection of your internal integrity. A life where you are finally proud of the person in the mirror. Clarity is the antidote to impulse. Impulse thrives in the fog. It thrives when your goals are vague and your future is a blur. When you don't know exactly what you're building, the primal engine will always convince you to just relax. But when the vision is crystal clear, when you can see it, taste it, and feel it, when that vision is so compelling that it pulls you out of bed in the morning, then you have a true keystone. This keystone is what you will visualize when the work gets hard. This is the why that makes the how bearable. This is the specific heaven that makes the anti-vision hell worth running from. This is the architecture of purpose, a foundation of aversion, giving you the push of non-negotiable no. Pillars of identity, giving you the clarity of who to be today. A keystone of a macro vision, giving you the pull of a future that must be built. With this architecture, everything changes. Your life is no longer a series of random, impulsive choices. It is now a filter. Every decision you face, every opportunity, every distraction is now passed through this single filter. Does this action align with my identity? Does it build my cathedral? Or does it lead me back to my hell? The decision is no longer difficult. It has already been made. Saying no to the cheap pleasure is no longer a sacrifice. It is a victory. It is a vote you are casting for your new identity, for your future. Saying yes to the hard work is no longer a burden. It is an opportunity. It is the act of laying another brick in your cathedral. You have been living by default. You have been a ship without a rudder, blown about by the winds of impulse and the currents of your environment. Today, you stop. You design. Your work, before we proceed, is not to try harder. It is to think harder. It is to sit down in the quiet and build this architecture, to write down your anti-vision, to define your pillars of identity, to articulate your keystone vision. Do not skip this step. Do not treat it as a metaphor. This is the work. This is the only work that matters. Because a person with a weak why can never withstand a hard how. But a person with an unbreakable why can endure any how. Here is Chapter 4. It is designed as the first major step into the battle, personifying the internal conflict as outlined. It is 5 a.m. The alarm, an unfeeling digital shriek, cuts through the darkness. And in that instant, the war begins. Two voices speak. The first voice is quiet. It is the voice of your future. It is the architect. It is the part of you that holds the keystone vision from our last chapter. It says, "Get up." This is the day. We have work to do. We have an identity to prove. The second voice is loud. It is deep, ancient, and overwhelming. It is the voice of the primal self. It does not speak in sentences. It floods your nervous system. It screams in feelings. No! Tired, warm, safe, stay, sleep. And in this moment, in this first crucial skirmish of the day, you negotiate. And that is why you lose. Welcome to part 2 of your transformation. We have left the diagnosis behind. We are no longer in the clinic identifying the problem. We are now on the battlefield, engaging the enemy. This is Chapter 4, The War of Two Selves. This is not a metaphor. This is a description of your internal reality. There is a civil war happening inside your mind every single day. And the person you are today is simply the side that has been winning. Until now, that side has been the primal self. Let us be clear about who these two combatants are. On one side, you have your higher self. This is the architect, the planner, the visionary. This is the part of you that can see time. It can understand future consequences. It can comprehend the value of sacrifice, investment, and delayed gratification. It is the part of you that read the outline for this audiobook and felt a sense of recognition. It is the part of you that built your architecture of purpose. It is logical, forward-thinking, and, by default, weak. On the other side, you have your primal self. This is the primal engine we identified in Chapter 2. But we must now see it as more than an engine. It is a soldier. It is the survivor. It is the ancient, powerful beast that has only one mission: to get you through the next 5 minutes. It cannot see the future. It does not care about your keystone vision. It does not understand your pillars of identity. It operates on the triumvirate of instinct: seek pleasure, avoid pain, conserve energy. The primal self is not evil. It is not your enemy in a moral sense. It is the part of you that kept your ancestors alive in a world of profound scarcity. It is the part that knows that comfort is good and effort is dangerous. To the primal self, your ambition to wake up early to exercise is not just illogical, it is insane. It is a voluntary waste of precious energy. It is a threat to survival. And so it fights you. It fights you not to make you miserable, but to save you. It is a loyal, powerful, and profoundly stupid bodyguard. It is the part of you that has kept you safe and, in doing so, has kept you stuck. The war is the daily conflict between the higher self's intentions and the primal self's instincts. The problem is that you have been fighting this war on the wrong terms. Your higher self, your logical, modern mind, has been tricked into using the wrong weapons. Your higher self tries to use logic. It tries to reason. It is 5 a.m. The primal self screams, "Sleep!" Your higher self, in a tiny voice, says, But if we get up now, we can go to the gym, and that will make us healthier, which aligns with our long-term goals." And the primal self laughs. It does not understand logic. It does not speak logic. It speaks in sensation. It speaks in emotion. It speaks in commands. Trying to reason with the primal self is like trying to convince a hurricane to blow just a little bit softer. It is a complete waste of time. Worse, your primal self has an ally. It has the narrative of comfort, the corrupt lawyer we identified. This lawyer uses your own intelligence against you. As your higher self fumbles with its logical argument, the lawyer steps in on behalf of the primal self and whispers, "You were up late last night. You need the rest. Sleep is important for muscle growth. If you work out tired, you'll just injure yourself. That's not smart. The logical thing to do is to hit snooze." And there it is. Checkmate. Your own logic has been hijacked. Your higher self is disarmed. The primal self wins. You hit snooze. You surrender. The war is over, and the day has not even begun. This is the central failure of your entire approach. You are negotiating. You are negotiating with a part of yourself that does not have your best interests at heart. You are treating the primal self as an equal partner, a respected advisor. You are asking permission from the beast to be better, and the answer will always be no. So, what is the new strategy? It is simple, it is profound, and it is non-negotiable. You must stop negotiating. The war is not won by convincing the primal self. The war is won by bypassing it. It is won by removing its power. It is won by your higher self staging a coup d'etat and taking total, unconditional control. Your higher self must become a benevolent dictator. This is a profound shift in your internal politics. The primal self is no longer on the advisory board. It is no longer allowed to vote. It is not allowed to speak at the meeting. It is now relegated to its proper job, running your autonomic systems, breathing, digesting, heartbeat. That's it. Its jurisdiction ends there. The higher self, armed with the architecture of purpose from Chapter 3, is now the sole authority. When the alarm goes off at 5 a.m., there is no debate. The primal self screams, "No!" The higher self does not argue. It does not say, "But we must." It says, The decision is already made. It says, your opinion is irrelevant. This is the power of the pre-commitment. The real battle is not won at 5 a.m. It is won at 10 p.m. the night before. It is won when the higher self, in a moment of clarity and quiet, sets the alarm. That act, that decision, was the command. The 5 a.m. alarm is not a suggestion to be debated. It is the execution of a prior order. Your only job at 5 a.m. is not to decide. It is to obey. To obey the you who set the alarm. To obey the you who has the vision. So, how do we arm this new dictator? How do we give the higher self the weapons it needs to enforce its rule? It needs 3 things: leverage, clarity, and an unconditional veto. First, leverage. We built this in Chapter 3. This is your why. The higher self must constantly hold the architecture of purpose. It is the scepter of its authority. When the primal self screams for comfort, the higher self doesn't debate the merits of comfort. It reviews the stakes. It holds up the anti-vision, the hell you are running from. It says, the path you suggest, the path of comfort, leads there, and we are not going there. It holds up the keystone vision, the cathedral you are building. It says, the action I command leads here, and that is our non-negotiable destination. This is its leverage. It is not an argument about the moment. It is a reminder of the consequences of the moment. Second, clarity. The primal self thrives in ambiguity. It loves the fog. When your goal is, I should work out more, the primal self has 1,000 loopholes. Does today count? What kind of workout? Maybe just a walk. You walked to the car. That's something. You're good. The higher self must be precise. It must eliminate all ambiguity. It does not say, I will work out more. It says, I will go to the gym on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and I will follow this specific program. This is a contract. It is clear. It is binary. You either did it or you did not. There is no room for negotiation. There is no gray area for the primal self's lawyer to exploit. Clarity is the higher self's weapon. It turns a vague wish into a direct order. Third, the unconditional veto. This is the most powerful tool. This is the non-negotiable no. The higher self must have the absolute, undisputed power to veto the primal self's impulses. This is the pause we learned in Chapter 2, but now it is weaponized. The impulse strikes. The primal self screams, eat the donut, check the phone, skip the difficult task. The higher self deploys the pause. It creates that space. It hears the primal self. It recognizes the voice. Ah, there you are, the survivor. You are feeling bored. You are demanding dopamine. Understood. It does not fight the feeling. It does not argue with the feeling. It acknowledges it. And then it vetoes it. I hear your request for cheap dopamine. That request is denied. I hear your request to avoid this hard work. That request is denied. I hear your demand for comfort. That request is denied. And then, crucially, the higher self must use the body to prove its authority. The veto is not a thought. It is an action. It is the act of turning your body away from the donuts. It is the act of closing the browser tab. It is the act of putting your feet on the floor when the alarm rings. The body must obey the higher self, not the primal self's feelings. This is the new law. This will feel uncomfortable. The primal self will not go quietly. When its demands are denied, it will escalate. It will throw a tantrum. This is the feeling of anxiety. This is the feeling of agitation. This is the craving. It is the primal self turning up the volume, trying to force you to obey. It is screaming, "Emergency! We are not getting the comfort. This is not a drill." And you must stand there. You must endure that feeling. You must tolerate the discomfort. And you must, calmly, with the authority of your higher self, do the work anyway. When you do this, when you tolerate the primal self's tantrum without surrendering to it, something magical happens. You are rewiring your brain. You are teaching the primal self a new lesson. You are teaching it that its tantrums no longer work. You are teaching it that you are in charge. The first time you do this, it will feel like war. The 10th time, it will feel like a skirmish. The 100th time, the primal self will barely even bother to show up. It will have learned that you are no longer a person who negotiates. This is the path of victory. You are not here to destroy the primal self. You are here to domesticate it. You are here to put your higher self in its rightful place, on the throne. The war is not won in a day. It is won in moments. It is won when the alarm rings. It is won when the phone beckons. It is won when the couch calls. It is won by recognizing the voice of the default self and choosing the voice of the architect. It is won by hearing the demand for comfort and choosing the call of purpose. Your fatal mistake was that you were negotiating with your own weakness. Starting today, the negotiations are over. The veto is in effect. Your higher self is in command. How much willpower do you think you have? You wake up and you imagine it as a full battery, a bright, glowing blue bar at the top of your vision. And with every decision you make, you see that bar drain. You use willpower to get out of bed instead of hitting snooze, minus 10%. You use it to skip the sugary cereal and eat a healthy breakfast, minus 15%. You use it to ignore your phone and start your most important task, minus 20%. By 3 p.m., after a long meeting, a difficult email, and the constant hum of distraction, your bar is empty. It is flashing red. And in that moment, when your willpower is gone, the primal self, your loyal, stupid bodyguard from the last chapter, sees its opening. It has been waiting, patiently, for you to be tired, for you to be weak, and it strikes. You're exhausted, it says, and its lawyer, the narrative of comfort, chimes in. You've earned a reward. You've been so good all day. What's one little cookie? What's 1 hour of mindless scrolling? It's recharging. And because your battery is empty, you agree. The logic is flawless. You surrender, and the entire edifice of your discipline, built on the fragile stilts of will, comes crashing down. This is the system you have been using, and this is why it always fails. You have been told that discipline is a war of attrition, a battle of endurance, that the strongest person is the one who can resist the most, fight the hardest, and endure the most temptation. This is a lie. It is a lie designed to make you fail. Relying on willpower to build a disciplined life is like trying to build a skyscraper out of wet sand. It is the wrong material. It is a resource that is, by its very nature, finite, unreliable, and emotional. It disappears with stress, with hunger, with fatigue, with a single bad night's sleep. You do not have a willpower problem. You have a strategy problem. Welcome to Chapter 5, Forging the System. We are done with the war of attrition. We are done trying to overpower the primal self with sheer brute force. That is a losing strategy. The primal self lives in your nervous system. It is the brute force. It will always win that fight. We are not going to fight the primal self anymore. We are going to outsmart it. The most disciplined people in the world are not heroes of willpower. They are engineers. They are architects. They are not stronger than you. Their system is stronger than yours. They are not masters of resisting temptation. They are masters of avoiding it. They have accepted a fundamental truth that you have been resisting. Your environment will always beat your intentions. Your environment, your physical space, your digital space, and your social space is not a passive backdrop. It is an active force. It is a collection of triggers, cues, and nudges that are constantly signaling to your primal self what to do next. If your environment is designed for comfort, your primal self will win 100% of the time. If you want to change your behavior, you must stop focusing on your intentions and start focusing on your environment. The higher self, the architect, must design an environment that makes the disciplined choice the easiest choice. It must make the path of least resistance lead toward your goals, not away from them. This new strategy is built on one single concept: friction. Friction is the amount of effort required to perform an action. Right now, your life is perfectly engineered for failure. You have high friction on your good habits and zero friction on your bad habits. Let's look at the proof. To go to the gym, you have to find your clothes, pack a bag, get in your car, drive 15 minutes, check in. The friction is enormous. To watch a video, you just tap your phone. The friction is zero. To cook a healthy meal, you have to find a recipe, go to the store, buy ingredients, chop, cook, clean. The friction is catastrophic. To order takeout, you tap 3 buttons. The friction is zero. Your primal self is a master of physics. It hates friction. It will always choose the path with less. And your higher self, the engineer, must now use this law to its advantage. Your new job is to become a friction architect. You have 2 directives. Add friction to the habits you want to break. Remove friction from the habits you want to build. Let's start with adding friction. Your goal is to make your bad habits inconvenient. You want to put as many steps, as many gates as possible between the impulse and the action. You want to stop mindlessly scrolling on your phone? Don't rely on willpower. Add friction. Delete the apps. If you can't delete them, log out. Make it so you have to re-enter your password every time. If you can't do that, move them off your home screen. Put them in a folder on the last page. If you can't do that, put your phone in another room. If you can't do that, buy a timed lockbox and literally lock your phone away for 2 hours. The goal is to make the impulse annoying to act upon. You want to stop eating junk food? Don't rely on willpower to not eat it. That's a fool's game. Don't buy it. Make your environment sterile. If you must have it in the house for others, put it in an opaque container on the highest shelf in the back of the pantry. Add friction. The primal self is lazy. It will not go on a quest. It will eat the apple on the counter. You want to stop watching so much television? Unplug it after each use. Take the batteries out of the remote and put them in a drawer. Face the couch away from the screen. Make it a conscious, multi-step process to turn it on, and your primal self will simply not. This is not a trick. This is intelligent design. You are creating an environment where your primal self's greatest weakness, its laziness, becomes your greatest strength. Now, the second and more powerful directive: removing friction. You must make your good habits inevitable. You must pave a smooth, downhill, perfectly lit path toward the actions that serve your higher self. You want to go to the gym at 5 a.m.? Don't decide at 5 a.m. That decision is a high-friction mental step. Remove the friction the night before. Lay out your gym clothes, all of them. Your shoes, your socks, your keys, your water bottle. Put them on your nightstand, on top of your alarm. When the alarm goes off, the only friction is the physical act of getting dressed. You have eliminated every other decision. The path of least resistance is no longer hit snooze. The path of least resistance is put on the clothes that are already here. You want to read more? Don't leave it to chance. Remove friction. Put a book on your pillow. You will have to physically move it to go to sleep. Put a book in the bathroom. Put a book by the coffee machine. Delete the social media app and put your e-reader app in its place. When the impulse for distraction hits, the easiest thing to grab will be the right thing. This is the system. This is forging the system. You are sculpting your world to cue your success. But your environment is only the first layer of the system. The second layer is the architecture of the habit itself. We must build the habit in a way that the primal self does not notice it. The primal self hates big, new, scary projects. It sees the goal, "I will write a book," as a massive threat. It is all pain, all energy, for no immediate pleasure. It will fight you to the death. So, you will not write a book. You will use what we call the 2-minute rule. Any new habit you are building must be made so small, so insignificant, that your primal self does not even register it as effort. Your goal must be achievable in under 2 minutes. You don't write a book. You open the document. You don't run a marathon. You put on your running shoes. You don't meditate for 20 minutes. You sit on the cushion and take one deep breath. This is the starting ritual. The discipline is not in doing the full task. The discipline is in starting. Why? Because starting is the moment of highest friction. By making the start so laughably simple, you remove all resistance. A moment of inattention will give your primal self the exact opening it needs, and in that moment, you will break a promise to yourself. You will fail. And this moment, this single point of failure, is the most dangerous moment of your entire transformation. It is more dangerous than the initial resistance in Chapter 1. It is more dangerous than the impulses in Chapter 2. Why? Because the failure is not the problem. The failure is a minor, insignificant event. The real enemy is what comes after the failure. The real enemy is the narrative of shame. This is the old, familiar voice. It is the lawyer for your primal self, the narrative of comfort, but it has changed its robes. It is no longer trying to seduce you into comfort. It is now here to condemn you. The second you slip, this voice rises up, and it whispers, "See, I knew it. You are a fake. You are a fraud. All that work, all that effort, for nothing. You've ruined it. You are still the same weak, undisciplined person you always were. The streak is broken. The day is ruined. The entire project is a failure. You might as well just give up. What's the point? Just start over. On Monday, or next month, or next year." This is the all-or-nothing trap we identified. It is the most brilliant piece of psychological sabotage ever devised. It takes a single, isolated data point, a mistake, and it extrapolates it into a verdict. It turns "I did a weak thing" into "I am a weak person." And you, in that moment, believe it. You are flooded with guilt, with shame, with self-disgust. And these emotions are paralyzing. They are heavy. They are the very definition of high friction. They make getting back on track feel impossible. So, what do? You surrender to the feeling. And how do you numb the pain of shame? With the very thing that caused it, comfort. You eat more junk food to numb the shame of eating junk food. You scroll for 3 more hours to avoid the anxiety of having scrolled for 1. This is the failure spiral. It is a vortex. It is a one-way path back to the hell you were running from. The mistake was a spark. The shame is the gasoline. And the spiral is the inferno that burns your entire cathedral to the ground. This is why you have always failed. Not because you slipped, but because you defined a slip as a fall. Welcome to Chapter 6, The Gravity of Failure. We are here to re-iron your relationship with this moment. We are here to give you a new program, a new code to run when the inevitable error occurs. First, we must adopt a new definition of unbreakable. Unbreakable is not the same as unbreaking. A thing that is unbreaking, like a plate of glass, is rigid, brittle, and fragile. It is perfect right up until the moment it is shattered. And when it shatters, it is gone. It cannot be put back together. This has been your model. You have been trying to be perfect. You have been trying to be a sheet of glass. And the second you get a single crack, you declare yourself shattered and throw the whole project away. This is a stupid model. We are not building a sheet of glass. We are building a biological system. We are building something living. Think of a human bone. A bone can break, but what happens when it does? It immediately begins to heal. It floods the area with resources. It knits itself back together. And in the place where it broke, it often becomes stronger than it was before. This is our new model. An unbreakable person is not one who never fails. An unbreakable person is one whose recovery time from failure is near instantaneous. Your new goal is not perfection. It is rapid recovery. Your new primary metric is not days without a mistake. It is minutes between the mistake and the next correct action. This is the new game. And in this game, failure is not a verdict. Failure is data. That is all. It is not emotional. It is not moral. It is not a reflection of your identity. It is a signal. It is a neutral, unemotional, and incredibly valuable piece of information. It is your system, the one you forged in Chapter 5, sending you a diagnostic report. The report says, Alert, system failure at this coordinate. A variable was not accounted for. An impulse breached the firewall. That is all it says. And what does an engineer do with a diagnostic report? Does the engineer cry? Does the engineer curse at the machine and call it worthless? Does the engineer set the machine on fire and walk away? No. The engineer opens the toolbox. The engineer looks at the report and says, Interesting, let's find out why. This is your new framework. This is the Rapid Recovery Protocol. It has 3 steps. You must make this your new automated habit, the instant you recognize a failure. The old habit? Slip, shame, spiral. The new habit? Slip, analyze, re-engage. Let's break it down. Step 1, analyze. The 3 whys. The moment you realize you've slipped, your old brain will scream for a guilt trip. You must veto that. You must force your higher self to take control and become a dispassionate scientist. You must ask why the system failed. Not, why am I so weak? That is a useless emotional question. You must ask technical questions. What was the cue? What was the trigger for the primal self? E.g., I was bored. I was stressed from that email. I was hungry. I saw a notification. Where did the friction fail? Example, my good habit had too much friction. My gym clothes were not packed. Or, my bad habit had too little friction. The cookies were on the counter. What narrative did I believe? What lie did the primal self's lawyer use? Example, I believed the lie that I deserved a reward. Or, I believed the lie that just one wouldn't matter. This entire analysis should take 30 seconds. You are not wallowing. You are investigating. You are finding the bug in the code. The answer is never because I am weak. The answer is always because the system had a vulnerability. I failed not because I am a lazy person. I failed because my gym clothes were not prepared, which created a 30-second friction window that my primal self exploited. This is a technical problem, and technical problems have technical solutions. Step 2. Adjust, the 1% solution. Now that you have your data, you must make a 1% adjustment to the system. This is not a promise to try harder. Trying harder is not a system. It is a failed strategy. You must change the environment. My gym clothes were not packed. The 1% solution, my system is now that I am not allowed to get in the shower at night until my gym bag for tomorrow is packed and by the door. The cookies were on the counter. The 1% solution, the system is now that all comfort foods are stored in an opaque bin on the highest shelf. I have added friction. I believed the lie that I deserved a reward. The 1% solution, the system is now that I will pre-plan my rewards. My reward for a full week of work is X, not an impulsive Y. You have taken the data from the failure and you have used it to make your system more robust. The failure did not weaken you. The failure just made you smarter. You have, quite literally, turned a loss into a gain. This is the ultimate alchemy. Step 3. Re-engage, the next right action. This is the most important step. Your primal self and its narrative of shame wants you to wait. It wants you to start over on Monday. Why? Because Monday is the future. It is a fantasy. It doesn't exist. It allows the primal self to keep winning today and tomorrow and the day after. It is the greatest loophole ever invented. We are closing that loophole forever. The fresh start is not Monday. It is not tomorrow. The fresh start is the next available second. Your new unbreakable rule is this: never miss twice. You may miss the 5 a.m. workout. That is the failure. But you will not miss the 6 p.m. workout. Or you will not miss the 10-minute walk at lunch. You will not let a single failure compound. You ate the donut at 10 a.m. The old you would say, the day is ruined. I'll eat a pizza for lunch and a tub of ice cream for dinner. The new you says, that was an interesting data point. The system failed. For my very next meal, for lunch, I will eat the cleanest meal I can. I will re-engage immediately. The streak is not about perfection. The real streak is about recovery. It is not about how many days in a row you can win. It is about how few days in a row you will lose. The person who can do this, who can fail at 10 a.m. and be back on track by 10:01 a.m. or by their very next meal, that person is unbeatable. That person is unbreakable. They have built a self-healing system. The gravity of failure is not a force that pulls you down. It is the force that pulls you back to the drawing board. It is a teacher. It is a tool. You must stop treating it as a judge. Today, you will learn to love your failures, not in a masochistic way, but in the way an engineer loves a problem. You will welcome the data. You will relish the opportunity to make your system more elegant, more robust, more you. The you who fails is not the real you. The you who gets back up. The you who analyzes. The you who re-engages. That is your higher self. That is the architect. And every time you do this, you are teaching that primal self a new lesson. You cannot keep me down. Your small victories are just fuel for my larger ones. That is the gravity of failure. It is the force that, if used correctly, guarantees your ascent. You believe this war is fought entirely in the mind. You think it is a battle of abstract thoughts, a contest of pure ethereal will. You have been led to believe that your mind is a piece of software, and that your body is just the clunky, inconvenient hardware it's forced to run on. You believe you can abuse, neglect, and ignore the hardware and still somehow expect the software, your focus, your discipline, your higher self, to run flawlessly. This is perhaps the most dangerous and arrogant assumption you have. You have been treating your body as a distraction, a container for your brain, something to be dragged along, indulged when it screams, or punished when it fails you. You are wrong. The mind and body are not two separate warring entities. They are one. They are a single, integrated biological system. You cannot have a strong mind in a weak body. You cannot have a disciplined will in a chaotic system. The state of your body determines the state of your mind. The software of your higher self cannot run on a machine that is broken, exhausted, and poisoned. Welcome to Chapter 7, The Carbon Armor. This is the final chapter of The Battle, and it is the most fundamental. We have discussed your purpose, your internal war, your systems, and your recovery from failure. Now we must build the very vessel that is required to fight. Your body is your armor. It is not for decoration. It is not a matter of aesthetics or vanity. We are not here to talk about beach bodies or the approval of others. That is the language of the primal self. We are here to talk about performance. We are here to talk about war. You are a soldier in a daily battle, and your carbon armor is the biological suit you must build, maintain, and wear. If that armor is weak, if it is full of cracks, if it is poorly maintained, you will lose. The stress of the world and the attacks of your own primal self will find those cracks and shatter you. A weak, tired, and inflamed body does not just hinder your discipline, it prevents it. A body in a state of chaos is the primal self. The brain fog, the fatigue, the irritability, the crushing weight of exhaustion, that is the feeling of the primal self being in total control. Your higher self, your logical architect, cannot get a signal through that noise. It has no power. If you are serious about building an unbreakable will, you must first build an unbreakable vessel. This armor is forged from 3 and only 3 non-negotiable components. They are not tips, they are not suggestions, they are not goals. They are the logistics of your campaign. An army that ignores its supply lines is an army that has already lost. These components are the fuel, the forge, and the repair bay. Let us begin with the fuel, the materials of your armor. You are built from what you eat. This is not a metaphor. It is a literal biological fact. The proteins, fats, and carbohydrates you consume are the raw materials your body uses to build every cell. They are the iron ore for your armor. And for years, you have been building your armor out of garbage. You have been building it out of processed sugar, refined grains, and industrial seed oils. You have been feeding your primal self's demands for pleasure, and in doing so, you have been sabotaging your higher self. Let us reframe food. Food is not comfort. It is not a reward. It is not entertainment. Food is fuel. That is its only purpose in this war. And the fuel you have been using is dirty. When you eat a high-sugar, high-carbohydrate processed meal, you are engaging in an act of chemical warfare against your own mind. You are paying for a brief 10-minute spike of dopamine. And what is the price? The price is the crash that follows. The price is the brain fog, the lethargy, the inflammation. The price is the sudden, overwhelming wave of fatigue an hour later, the exact moment your primal self seizes control of your nervous system. You do not feel tired after that meal. You are tired. You have chosen to be. You have intentionally disabled your higher self. You have drugged the prefrontal cortex, the seat of your will, into a state of submission. And in that state, when the primal self whispers, "You're too tired to work on that project. Just watch a video. Just lie down." You obey. Of course you obey. The king is asleep. The jester is running the court. Forging your carbon armor means you must become ruthless about your fuel. This is not a diet. A diet is a temporary restriction, a punishment. This is a protocol. It is a permanent upgrade of your supply line. The rule is simple. You will eat for function, not for feeling. You will eat real whole foods, the kinds of foods that build things, lean proteins, healthy fats, complex carbohydrates. You will eat foods that provide stable, sustained energy, not a 30-minute rocket ride followed by a catastrophic explosion. You will stop thinking of food as a source of pleasure and start thinking of it as the foundation of your power. When you look at the donut, the old you asked, "Does this taste good?" The new you, the architect, asks, "Does this build the armor, or does this weaken it? Does this give my higher self energy, or does it put my primal self in charge?" The choice is not about calories. It is about control. Every clean meal is a vote for your higher self. Every processed, sugary indulgence is an intentional surrender to the primal self. You cannot fight a war while you are actively arming the enemy. Choose your fuel. Build your armor. Second, the forge, the stress that hardens. The armor is not just built. It must be hardened. Raw iron ore is weak. It is brittle. To become steel, it must be subjected to intense heat. It must be hammered. It must be stressed. You have spent your entire life avoiding this stress. Your primal self is programmed to conserve energy. It hates physical exertion. It sees it as a waste. It defines it as pain and commands you to avoid it. And so you have. You have lived a life of profound physical comfort, and your armor is soft, it is brittle, it dents at the slightest impact. We must reframe physical exertion. It is not exercise. It is not a chore. It is not punishment for what you ate. It is voluntary hardship. It is the forge. It is the single greatest practice for self-discipline, because it is the one place where you can safely and intentionally practice the war. When you are 30 minutes into a demanding workout and your lungs are burning and your muscles are screaming, what is that voice you hear? What is the voice that says, "Stop, this is enough, this hurts, it's not worth it, let's go home"? That is the voice of the primal self. It is the exact same voice that tells you to hit snooze. It is the exact same voice that tells you to procrastinate. It is the exact same voice that tells you to give up. The gym, the running trail, the yoga mat, that is your dojo. It is your laboratory for tolerating discomfort. It is your chance to practice the veto, to hear that voice, to acknowledge it, and to keep going. To teach your nervous system in a controlled environment that you are in command, that your higher self sets the terms, not your feelings. The person who can do one more rep when their body screams no is the same person who can make the cold call when their mind screams no. It is not a metaphor. It is a transferable skill. You are not just building muscle. You are rewiring your brain. You are proving at a cellular level that you are not a slave to your impulses. This is the forge, the heat, the hammer. It is the act of stressing the armor that makes it strong. It is the process of breaking down the body that allows it to build back denser and more resilient. And the side effect of this forge? It is the neurochemical cocktail that your higher self needs to function. The endorphins, the dopamine, the brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, which is literal fertilizer for your brain. You do not lose energy by exerting yourself. You create it. You transmute discomfort into power. You cannot be a disciplined person if you are a slave to comfort. The forge is where you burn that slavery away. Finally, the repair bay, the power of the dark. You have built your armor from clean fuel. You have hardened it in the forge. Now you must repair it. Because the battle damages you. The stress of the day, the forge itself, it breaks you down. And the primor can only be repaired in one place: sleep. This is the component you have treated with the most contempt. You see sleep as an inconvenience, a waste of time. You grind, you hustle, you burn the midnight oil. You boast about how little of it you need. And in doing so, you have been bragging about your own self-sabotage. Let us be unflinchingly clear. Sleep is not passive. It is not time off. It is the most active and crucial phase of high performance. It is the repair bay. It is the only time your body and brain are rebuilt. It is when your muscles are repaired from the forge. It is when your brain cleanses itself of metabolic waste. It is when your memories are consolidated. It is when your emotional circuits are reset. And, most critically, it is when your willpower battery, the one that gets drained all day, is recharged. You know the person you become after a bad night's sleep? That irritable, foggy, impulsive, short-tempered, emotional wreck? That is the primal self. A sleep-deprived brain is a primal brain. The prefrontal cortex, your higher self, your architect, your king, is the first part of your brain to go offline when you are tired. It shuts down. And what is left? The limbic system, the emotional, reactive beast brain. You think you lost your discipline the day after a short sleep? You never had a chance. You chose to enter the war with no king, no leader, and an army of emotional children. You chose to give the primal self full control of your kingdom, simply because you wanted to watch one more episode, or scroll for one more hour. This is an insult to your ambition. You must change your relationship with sleep, tonight. It is not an option. It is not giving in. It is the non-negotiable biological foundation of your will. It is the prerequisite for your higher self to even show up for the battle. To win the morning, you must win the night before. You must treat your sleep with the same ferocious, non-negotiable discipline as your work, your fuel, and your forge. You must create a system for it, a shutdown ritual, an environment of cool, quiet darkness. You must defend your 7 to 9 hours of repair time as if your life depends on it, because the life you want to build does. This is the carbon armor. It is not a health plan. It is your battle readiness. A soldier with a broken down, unfueled, unrepaired set of armor is not a soldier. He is a casualty. Your ambition, your purpose, your cathedral, it cannot be built by a ghost. It must be built by you, this carbon-based you. You do not have a mind. You are a mind. You do not have a body. You are a body. They are one. To disrespect one is to guarantee the failure of the other. This is the final law of the battle. You cannot think your way to discipline. You cannot will your way to victory. You must build the physical machine that makes victory possible. Your armor is waiting. The fuel is ready. The forge is hot. The repair bay is standing by. It is time to build the vessel. We are now in a new territory. We have diagnosed the problem. We have waged the war. And in that war, in the daily skirmishes, you have been doing something far more profound than just building habits. You have been casting votes. Every time you chose the higher self over the primal self. Every time you added friction to a bad habit and removed it from a good one. Every time you analyzed a failure instead of spiraling in shame. Every time you fueled your body, forged it in voluntary hardship, and repaired it with discipline. You were not just doing a task. You were casting a single, undeniable vote for a new identity. You were providing proof. You began this journey as one person, and you have been, brick by brick, action by action, building another. We have now crossed the great divide. We are leaving the battlefield of the battle and entering the kingdom of the victory. Welcome to Part 3, Mastery. This is Chapter 8, The Identity Forged. Your entire life, you have been trying to change your actions without changing your identity. You have been the procrastinator who is trying not to procrastinate. You have been the undisciplined person who is trying to be disciplined. You have been the junk food eater who is trying to eat a salad. Do you see the conflict? Do you feel the internal friction in those statements? You were trying to force an action that was in direct opposition to your perceived self. You were, in effect, trying to lie to yourself. And your primal self, which is brutally honest, knew it. It knew you were a procrastinator, so when you tried to be productive, it sounded the alarm. This is not who we are. This is fake. Stop this and return to who we are. And you always did. You returned to your default, because your identity will always defeat your intentions. Your behavior is, quite simply, a mirror. It is an expression of the identity you hold at the core. To change your behavior for a day is a chore. To change your identity is to change your behavior forever. This is the ultimate goal. This is the pivot from doing to being. True discipline is not the act of forcing yourself to do something you hate. True discipline is the natural, frictionless, automatic expression of who you have decided you are. But how do you change an identity? You have been told it is an abstract process, a matter of believing, of visualizing, of standing in the mirror and affirming, "I am a disciplined person." This is a lie. Your identity is not built on affirmations. It is built on evidence. Your brain is a ruthlessly logical, evidence-based machine. It does not believe what you tell it. It believes what you show it. You can stand in the mirror and say, "I am a disciplined person," 1,000 times. But if you then hit the snooze button, you have just shown your brain that you are a liar. You have provided evidence that your identity is, in fact, a person who is not disciplined but wishes they were. You have strengthened the old identity. This is the great, powerful, beautiful secret of this entire process, the how-to of the last several chapters. The systems, the friction, the armor. These were not just about changing your actions. They were a secret strategy for manufacturing the evidence you need to forge a new identity. You cannot think your way into being disciplined. You must act your way into it. Let's look at the evidence you have been gathering. On day 1, you laid out your gym clothes. On day 2, you woke up and put them on. Evidence. Your brain, the objective scientist, made a note. On this day, this person did the hard thing. Interesting. That is proof point number 1. Then, at lunch, you vetoed the primal self's demand for junk food and ate the clean meal you prepared. Evidence. Proof point number 2. The system is functioning. The subject is prioritizing long-term fuel over short-term pleasure. Then, that evening, you analyzed a failure instead of spiraling. You adjusted the system. Evidence. Proof point 3. The subject is no longer identifying with failure. The subject is learning from it. Do you see what is happening? You are, quite literally, building a case in the court of your own mind. You are proving, beyond a reasonable doubt, that the old identity, the procrastinator, the weak one, is no longer accurate. The old file is being contradicted by a mountain of new data. The old identity was true. It was based on its own mountain of evidence, a mountain of snoozed alarms, broken promises, and abandoned projects. You are not erasing that identity. You are superseding it. You are making it obsolete. This is the forging. An identity is not a decision you make once. It is a status you earn every single day with your actions. It is like the identity of doctor. You cannot just affirm you are a doctor. You must go to medical school. You must pass the exams. You must earn the title. And once you have, you no longer have to try to be a doctor. You just are one. You act like one. You think like one. It is your identity. We are in the process of earning the identity of disciplined person, or athlete, or professional, or creator, the who you defined in your pillars of identity back in Chapter 3. And as this new evidence accumulates, the most profound shift of all begins to happen. It is a shift in gravity. In the beginning, your old identity had all the power. The pull toward comfort and procrastination was massive. It was the default. It was the path of least resistance. Every new, disciplined action required a massive amount of effort. It was a fight. It was you willing yourself to move against that gravity. But as the proof points stack up, as the new identity gets heavier with evidence, the gravity shifts. The pull is no longer toward the old self. The new identity, the disciplined person, is now heavier. It has more proof. It is now the default. And this is the moment of mastery. This is the moment when procrastinating suddenly feels uncomfortable. It is the moment when eating junk food suddenly feels alien. It is the moment when skipping a workout feels worse than actually doing it. This is the moment your higher self has won the war. Because discipline is no longer a chore. It is now your path of least resistance. Indiscipline now feels wrong. It is now the path of high friction. It goes against the grain of your proven identity. You are no longer trying to be disciplined. You just are. The behavior is now effortless because it is an expression of your forged identity. You don't negotiate about the 5 a.m. alarm because I am a person who wakes up at 5 a.m. It is not a decision. It is a fact. It is who you are. This is the victory. But this is also a warning. An identity is not a monument. It is not something you build and then admire from a distance and then walk away from. An identity is a garden. It must be maintained. The second you stop providing proof, The second you stop casting votes, the weeds of the old identity will immediately begin to grow back. Your primal self is never gone. It is not vanquished. It is domesticated. It is managed. It is waiting patiently for you to get complacent. It is waiting for you to say, "I've made it. I am disciplined. I can afford to skip today." The moment you say that, you have cast a vote for the old identity. And the primal self's lawyer screams, "Aha, proof! The new identity was the fraud. Welcome back." This is why identity is the final stage, because it must be defended. Your new identity is not a possession. It is a practice. Your new job for the rest of your life is simple. Never stop providing proof. This is the true meaning of unbreakable. It is not a static state of being perfect. It is a dynamic process of constant reinforcement. It is the daily, conscious act of proving to yourself over and over who you have decided to be. So, how do you do this? How do you maintain the garden? You must celebrate the evidence. Your brain loves rewards. Your primal self is addicted to them. For years, the only reward system you had was the cheap, instant dopamine of your bad habits. We must now install a new reward system for your good habits. You must end the action with a conscious moment of acknowledgement. You finish the hard workout. Do not just run to the shower. Stop. Take 10 seconds and consciously tell yourself, "I kept the promise." That is a vote for athlete. That is proof. I am proud of this action. You finish the difficult project. Stop. Do not just close the laptop. Acknowledge it. I did the hard work. I finished what I started. This is proof that I am a professional. This is not cheesy affirmation. This is neurochemistry. You are tying the action, the vote, to a feeling of reward, pride, accomplishment. You are training your primal self. You are teaching it that this new behavior, this disciplined behavior, is now the new source of dopamine. You are hijacking the old pleasure-seeking system and aiming it at your new identity. Soon, your brain will crave the feeling of keeping the promise. It will crave the satisfaction of providing the proof. The work itself becomes the reward. This is the self-sustaining loop of mastery. You act in alignment with your chosen identity. The action serves as evidence. You acknowledge the evidence as proof. This reinforces the identity, which makes the next action easier. This is the forge. It is no longer a battle you are surviving. It is a process you are commanding. You are no longer the subject of your impulses. You are the architect of your identity. You are not the person who started this audiobook. You have the proof. That person hoped for change. You are building it. That person wished for a new identity. You are forging it. You have arrived at a place few people ever see. You have forged a new identity. The war is over. The higher self is in command. The systems are running. The armor is strong. You are no longer trying to be disciplined. You are disciplined. The 5 a.m. alarm is no longer a battle. It is simply what you do. The work is no longer a chore. It is an expression of your identity. The failure is no longer a verdict. It is data. You have, in effect, won. And now you are in more danger than you have ever been. A new enemy has appeared. This enemy does not scream like the primal self. It does not attack like an impulse. It does not condemn you like shame. This new enemy is silent. It is patient. And it is lethal. This enemy is boredom. This is Chapter 9, The Horizon of Consistency. We are here to talk about the long game. We are here to talk about what happens after the transformation. Because transformation is exciting. It is a project. It has a before and an after. It generates results. You can see the changes. You lose the weight. You finish the manuscript. You get the promotion. And this excitement, this novelty, this visible progress, it has been the secret, unacknowledged fuel for your discipline. But what happens when the after picture is just today? What happens when you are no longer losing weight, you are just maintaining it? What happens when you are not writing the first book, but just showing up to write page 1 of the third book, and it feels exactly like the last book? What happens when the new identity just becomes normal? This is the great, terrifying plateau of mastery. It is the place where the results stop being dramatic. The progress is no longer measured in leaps, but in millimeters. Or, more often, it is not measured in progress at all, but in maintenance. And this is where the primal self launches its most insidious, brilliant, and devastating attack. It does not attack with the voice of weakness anymore. I'm tired. This is hard. It attacks with the voice of arrogance. It whispers, "This is boring. Is this it? Is this all there is? Just this? Every day? Forever? You've done it. You've proven the point. You are a disciplined person. You've earned a break. This is easy now. This is beneath you. You don't need to be this rigid anymore. Let's find a new challenge. Let's find something exciting again." This is the lie of complacency. It is the single most common reason that successful people fail. They mistake the end of the initial war for the end of all conflict. They achieve the identity, and then, fatally, they stop doing the things that forged the identity. The primal self has convinced them that the identity is a monument they have built, and now they can just walk away and admire it. But as we learned in the last chapter, that identity is a garden. And the moment you stop tending it, the moment you get bored of the daily watering and pulling the same weeds, that is the moment the garden dies. Consistency is not a phase you must endure to get to the goal. Consistency is the goal. The plateau is the point. The boring part, that is mastery. Mastery is not the peak of the mountain. It is the love of the endless, unglamorous, repetitive act of walking. It is the master musician who has played stadiums sitting down this morning to practice scales. It is the master writer with a dozen bestsellers sitting down this morning to struggle with a single sentence. It is the master athlete with the gold medal showing up this morning to do the same fundamental drills they did as a child. Why do they do this? Are they bored? To the outside world, it looks like a prison. To the primal self, it looks like insanity. Why are you still doing the basics? You've mastered the basics. The master understands a truth the amateur never will. You never master the basics. You only ever practice them. The process itself is the reward. The horizon is the destination. And the thing about the horizon is, you never reach it. That is the point. The horizon is not a place. It is a direction. Your purpose, your keystone vision from Chapter 3. It is not a finish line you are supposed to cross. It is the star you are navigating by. The amateur is obsessed with the win. They want the trophy. They want the applause. They want the before and after picture. They are addicted to the result. And because they are addicted to the result, they hate the process. The process is just the annoying part they have to suffer to get the result. So the moment they get the result, they stop the process. And inevitably, they lose the result. The person who loses 50 pounds then gains 60 back. The person who writes one great book then never writes again. The person who builds a great business then coasts into bankruptcy. These are all amateurs who achieved a result and then got bored of the process. The master, the professional, the unbreakable person is in love with the plateau. They have detached their satisfaction from the outcome and fused it to the process. They do not show up to get a result. They show up to be the person. They show up to practice the identity. The work itself is the victory. The rep is the reward. This is the final and most profound mental shift you must make. You must learn to love the boredom. You must redefine boredom. What you call boring is not boring. It is consistent. It is reliable. It is professional. What your primal self calls boring is what your higher self calls mastery. It is the act of showing up when the novelty has worn off. It is the act of doing the work when no one is watching. It is the act of laying the brick, the same plain, simple brick, perfectly every single day, even when you cannot see the cathedral grow. This is the unbreakable self. It is a choice. It is the choice to find joy in the mundane. So how do we do this? How do we practice this? First, you must measure the process, not the result. Stop obsessing over the number on the scale, or the money in the bank, or the views on the video. These are outcomes. They are lagging indicators, and they are fickle. They are not entirely within your control. Your new measurement, your only measurement, is the process. Did I show up today? Did I keep the promise to myself? Did I practice the identity? The new scoreboard is binary. It is a yes or a no. Yes, I did the work. That is a win. That is all the reward you need. This is how you fall in love with the process. You measure the process. Second, you must embrace the plateau as the destination. You are not stuck. You are stationed. This is the place. This is the reward. The ability to do this day in and day out, without drama, without complaint. This is the freedom you were looking for. The freedom you were really looking for was not $1 million. It was freedom from your primal self. It was freedom from impulse. It was freedom from doubt. And this is it. This boring, consistent, daily practice is that freedom. It is the citadel. Do not resent the plateau. Defend it. It is the kingdom you have built. Third, you must never stop being a beginner. The moment you think you are a master, you are dead. You have stopped learning. Your complacency has set in. The true master always sees themselves as a student. They ask, how can I do today's rep better than yesterday's? Not more, not different, better. How can I make this single, boring act cleaner, more focused, more pure? This is how you find the novelty in the mundane. You go deeper. You don't widen your focus to a new, exciting thing. You deepen your focus on the essential thing. This is the path of true growth, not in scope, but in depth. This is the horizon of consistency. It is not a final chapter. It is the epilogue that you must choose to write, every single day for the rest of your life. The victory is not a moment in time. It is not a destination. The victory is the process. The victory is the walk. The victory is being the person who does the work, not because it is new or exciting, but because it is who you are. The crowd cheers for the result, but the unbreakable person? They are the only one in the stadium who has learned to applaud the rep. We have come to the end of the instruction, but we are at the beginning of the work. You began this journey as a person living in a profound state of compromise. You were a prisoner of your own impulses. You were a slave to your moods. You were a passive observer in your own life, trapped in a cage of your own comfort, wondering why you felt so restless, so hollow, so profoundly dissatisfied. You were a person at war with yourself, and you were losing. You came here looking for a how-to, a trick, a productivity hack, a single magic bullet that would fix the deep spiritual friction of your unlived life. And instead, you were given a mirror. You were given a blueprint for a war. You were given a forge. You were not given a magic key. You were told instead that you must build your own. And that is what we have been doing this entire time. Every chapter, every concept, every uncomfortable truth. It was all instruction for the construction of a single, ultimate structure. This is Chapter 10, the citadel of the will. This is the synthesis. This is the final form. The citadel is not a place. It is a state of being. It is the internal fortress you have been building, brick by brick, with every single disciplined choice. Let us review the architecture of this fortress. The foundation is the brutal, beautiful clarity of your architecture of purpose, Chapter 3. It is the bedrock of your why. It is the hell you are running from and the heaven you are moving toward. It is the unshakable reason that keeps the fortress from sinking into the mud of, I don't feel like it. The outer walls are your forged systems, Chapter 5. They're the environment you have engineered, the friction you have added to your vices and removed from your virtues. These are the defenses that make attacks from the outside, from the world of distraction and temptation, irrelevant. They are the moat that stops the enemy before he even reaches the gate. The armor you wear, the very material of the guards, is your carbon armor, Chapter 7. It is the strong, fueled, and repaired physical body that makes your higher self possible. It is the undeniable biological power that makes you fit to rule. The law of the citadel is the rapid recovery protocol, Chapter 6. It is the understanding that the fortress is not brittle, it is resilient. It can take a hit. It knows that failure is not catastrophe, but data. It is the self-healing, self-repairing system that makes you unbreakable. The soldiers in your command are the domesticated instincts of your primal self, Chapter 4. You have stopped negotiating with them. You have trained them. You have retasked their energy, hijacking their need for reward and aiming it at the process of building. They are no longer your captors. They are your servants. And who are you? You are the king. You are the queen. You are the forged identity, Chapter 8. You are the architect. You are the higher self. You are the ruler of this inner kingdom. You are the will that sits upon the throne. This is the citadel. It is the internal world you have built where you are in charge. A place where your actions are in perfect alignment with your intentions. A place where your choices are a direct expression of your values. A place where you are no longer at war, because the war has been won. The civil conflict is over. Your kingdom is, finally, at peace. Not the cheap, hollow peace of surrender, but the deep, resonant, earned peace of order. And from within the walls of this citadel, everything looks different. The chaos of the world, the noise, the demands of others, the endless crises, the distractions, it no longer breaches your walls. You hear it, but it does not penetrate. It does not dictate your state. You are no longer reactive. You are creative. You observe the storm from a place of safety and strength. You decide when and if you will ride out to meet it. The boredom of the plateau, Chapter 9, is no longer seen as boredom. It is seen as vigilance. It is the peaceful, satisfying work of walking the battlements. It is the daily act of tending the garden, polishing the armor, and maintaining the walls. It is not a chore. It is the privilege of mastery. It is the joy of holding the kingdom you have built. This is the ultimate freedom. You thought freedom was the right to do whatever you want. That was the lie of the primal self. That freedom was a prison. It made you a slave to the next impulse, the next craving, the next distraction. You had the freedom to choose comfort, and in doing so, you had no freedom to build anything else. This is true freedom. True freedom is the power to choose your own cage. You have chosen the cage of your purpose. You have chosen the cage of your identity. You have chosen the cage of keeping the promises you make to yourself. And in doing so, you have unlocked the only freedom that matters. The freedom to build the life you want. The freedom to endure the necessary pain. the freedom to reject the hollow pleasures, the freedom to look in the mirror and feel profound respect for the person staring back, the freedom to be the person you claimed you wanted to be. This is the great work, and it is never finished. The citadel is not a monument you build and abandon. It is a living entity. It requires your presence. It must be defended every day, not with the stress of the initial war, but with the calm vigilance of a ruler. You must continue to cast your votes. You must continue to provide the proof. You must continue to be the person who earned this kingdom. The world is full of people who are waiting for permission, waiting for motivation, waiting for the right time. They are living by default. They are the subjects of their own chaotic inner worlds. Their lives are a reaction to their impulses. You will not be one of them. You have chosen the harder, better path. You have chosen to design. You have chosen to build. You have chosen to rule. The tools are in your hands. The blueprints are in your mind. The person you were, that person is gone. You have the proof. That person negotiated with their weakness. You do not. That person hoped for a better life. You architect one. You are no longer the slave to the old program. You are the programmer. You are the will. And your will is no longer a wish. It is law. It is forged. It is tested. It is unbreakable. The mirror is here. The resistance is gone. And the person looking back is you. The one who was waiting. The one you were always meant to be. You have finally met them. You have built them. Now, go, live, and defend the citadel.